Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and here I am doing a review for the Ballad of Never After, the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I just love the world of Caraval, and I don't know what the world overall is called. It's just easy for me to say World of Caraval because I don't remember what the kingdom is called or anything like that. I don't know if she even says it in the book. But we are continuing with Evangeline's story, picking up where we left off with the Once Upon a Broken Heart, where Jax has betrayed Evangeline, and now she can't trust him, but she still finds herself attracted to him and drawn to him. She is refusing to open the Valerie Arch for him, and she keeps trying. She will only help him unless he tells her why he wants it open. And then somehow Apollo gets cursed. So he wakes up, but not only does he wake up alive, but he also wakes up with a curse all his own. First, he's cursed with the mirror curse, where whatever happens to him happens to Evangeline and vice versa. But he also is cursed from the infamous ballad, like the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox, which is a ballad about a archer who was cursed to hunt the woman he loved, who could turn into a fox. So that is, and she finds out from Jax that possibly the only way to break Apollo's curse is to open the Valerie Arch, which she had refused to do before. And she's not only convinced by Jax, but she's also convinced by her friend Lala and Chaos as well, that she must open the arch. So she agrees to help Jax. And she finds out must find that not only does her blood unlock doors, but she also must find a group of stones that must be placed for the arch to fully open. So you have the Mirth Stone, the Luck Stone, the Youth Stone, and let's see. Let me look back. See. It says in there. Let me see. There's a list of the stones in here somewhere. I do not remember what they are. Let's see. Where is it? Let me find it. I should have found this before. It doesn't say where they are. Oh, here it is. The Truth Stone. So we have the stone for luck, the one for truth, the one for mirth, and the one for youth. And each of these stones has a weird effect on once you find the stones. And it turns out it has a stronger effect on Evangeline, because she is the key. I always am a big fan of those kinds of stories when a person is representative of a magical object. I thought that was real. That's why I'm a big fan of the season 5 arc of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, with Buffy's sister Dawn coming into the picture and her being the key. If you've ever seen that show, spoiler alert for that. But this book was so great. There's only one thing I had a problem with in this book, but the rest of it was still such a great story. It was a great continuation of Evangeline's story. We get more of the beautiful descriptions of all the beautiful locations of this kingdom, and all the dresses, the glorious dresses that she gets to wear. I mean, I would love to try on some of these dresses. Of course, I would love to try them out without a corset. But all the beautiful descriptions of the clothes and the setting, and how the people look, how they're devastatingly attractive. It's just so delectable to read about. I mean, I love Stephanie Garber's writing style. It really drops you into this world, and you just find yourself not just reading about this world, but you feel like you're in this world and being part of it, a part of this story, this fairy tale. I also really love how we get more of Jax's past, which is what I wanted since I finished reading Finale. I wanted to explore more of Jack's character. He's so complex, and throughout this second installment, he seems even more vulnerable and more human. Like, you just hope, like Evangeline, that there's a little humanity in him. And it does show it. He just showed that maybe he's doing that thing that a lot of guys, like a lot of moral guys do, is pushing the girl away and being all cruel and hateful. And of course, not everybody loves that trope. I'm fine with it. It's still, it frustrates me it does frustrate me, but this is fiction anyway, so and it's fantasy, and I feel like there are different rules in fantasy. But I love that we get more of Jack's past. And we also get some other characters' past, like hints of Lala and Chaos's past as well. We learn more about the history of this world before Apollo and his family took power. We get hints of all these great houses. Kind of like in Song of Ice and Fire series, where there's all these different houses and they're all connected to what happened back then in the whole history with the Valors, because of course it's called the Valerie Arch for a reason. There's like this whole backstory that Jax and Chaos and Lala are connected to it. I feel like Evangeline reminds me a lot of Donatella in personality and like being drawn to the bad boy type, but she's a little less reckless than Donatella. She's a little less, but she will do what she needs to fight for what she wants at the same time. I like that we get to, like I said, I like exploring more of Lala and Chaos and getting to know them and learning more about who they are. Luke is still in the story. I'm not that crazy. I think like Jax is too lovable and too charming for me to really have any, although I do like Luke. I like Luke in some ways. He frustrates me, but he's also kind of adorable and endearing at times, and I think he does really care about Evangeline. Of course, what happened to him in the last book is kind of coming between them a little bit. It makes things complicated for them to even have a relationship. And I'm not that crazy about Apollo. I even like him even less in this. I thought he was amusing the first book, but in this book he just was kind of more I was worried for that, he was gonna hurt Evangeline because of the curse put on him. And he's just not as amusing in this book. He's just he's kind of another threat to her. And I feel bad because I think she cares about him, and but I don't have any strong feelings, and I'm not it's not like other love triangles where I kind of like both guys. I only like one guy, and that's Jax. So the only thing, like I said, the only thing I really had a problem with is how the cliffhanger. I did get spoiled for it, so I was prepared and I knew it was coming. And I got confused a little bit towards the end, the last few chapters, because there's something weird there's a little weirdness at one point that I was a little confused until I started reading it. It's like, oh wait, but there is a trope that they use in this one that I'm not that crazy about, that I cannot stand. But because the rest of the book was so great, I'm willing to, I just wish we had the third book already, or I wish I had waited before I borrowed this book from the library and started reading it, because of the way it ends. I wish I had waited a little bit so that by the time I read it, that the third book was already out. But unfortunately, I'll have to wait. I don't know how long, a few months, maybe 6 months to a year. I don't know. I don't know how long it takes her to write these books, but it's gonna drive me crazy, especially with how the cliffhanger, which, I don't think that's much. I personally don't feel saying there's a cliffhanger is a spoiler, because it's particularly if it's a fantasy book and it has a sequel, then it's gonna probably, there's some first books that don't end on a cliffhanger, but most first books or second books, if there's another book coming, I feel like a lot of them will end on a cliffhanger, so I don't think it's much of a spoiler. It's just the details that matter, that you don't want to spoil. So, Anyway, I just love being part of this world again, and I'm so glad that we're learning more about Jack's character and getting to know him and seeing that he, like Legend, he has goodness in him. He is good. You know, he has potential for goodness. But, and also what makes up for the trope that she used is the fact that I'm hoping this means that in the final book, we will get some of the characters from Caraval returning. Because, I mean, we saw a couple of them briefly in the first book. Tella and Scarlet appear in the first book. So I'm hoping that all 4 of the main characters will appear in the last book in this trilogy. Because with how this one ends, you know, it seems like it would make sense that maybe they would come back in the final book. But I don't know. Anyway, this was really great, really fun. It was fun to be back in this world and continue Evangeline's story. Like I said, it's going to drive me crazy having to wait for as long as we have to wait for the next book. At least it's not like with Song of Ice and Fire series. Or, you know, even, like, I feel bad for the people who are reading, Song of Ice and Fire series, for one, is when those people are waiting on the last 2 books. But also the people who read, The Name of the Wind and the sequel to it, because the author, you know, he still hasn't written the 3rd book yet, and that they're waiting on that one. So at least hopefully I don't think it'll be like that kind of situation. But anyway, so that is my review of the Ballad Never After. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to be notified when I post my latest videos. I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!